so we're live. Welcome back to the Magic Minds podcast. I'm Matt Burke. You're watching and listening to the Liberty's #1 podcast. Stories that have the power to inspire. On the show today, I'm joined by my pal, Paul Condon. Paul, what is the crack?
How's it going, buddy? All right?
It's lovely to have you here.
Great to see you, man. Delighted to be back in. I used to live around here, you know?
Yeah, you're an old Liberty's resident.
Yeah. I'm a Finglas head, but I lived in Patrick Street for years, you know?
Right.
I know the area well.
I've known Paul for a good few years. Now we're friends, but then I've watched and seen you from afar from years ago. And I was like, I recognise you from somewhere. Because my ma used to live on John Dillon Street, Patrick Street.
Yeah.
So we may have crossed paths. Whereabouts in Patrick Street were you?
Like right in front of the cathedral.
Right.
Like bang smack. It was called Stern House. And I went to the Ivy Gym as well, so probably there, you know?
All right, deadly.
Yeah.
Guys, I've asked Paul to come on the show because Paul is the publisher, owner of Positive Life magazine.
Yeah.
Positive Life, and he also runs Positive Nights, formerly known as the Buddha Bag.
Yeah, that's it.
So I've also heard him described, and how are you with this one?
Yeah.
The godfather of spirituality in
Jesus,
Ireland.
Who said that?
I think I listened to an interview he did with a guy called Garrett, a pal of yours, Garrett Dignam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you would be involved in the conscious spiritual movement, the wellness movement in Ireland for the last, nearly coming up to 20 years. 2008, I would say, would I be correct in saying that?
2007 when I took the magazine over. Yeah. So it's a long time, yeah.
Like, I've looked at the number of guests you've had on, you know, Eckart Tolle, Bruce Lipton, Tommy Ellis, Louise Hay, Lynn McTaggart is coming on, Sadhguru. Like, you've had some incredible guests, and that's why I'm so excited. I'm connected to you, you're connected to them, and you're going to bring that beautiful wisdom to my audience, my viewers, and the people of the Liberties. Look, before we get into the positive life, say in the 90s or the 80s, growing up in the Liberties or Finglas, did you ever see yourself that you'd be running a company called Positive Life, Positive Nights, Buddha Bag? Was that ever on the agenda for you from a lad from Finglas?
You know, never. I have to say never. But I always remember thinking as a kid, like maybe, you know, I was just playing football or something out in the street, and I was kind of walking home one day, and I got this, you know, I call them downloads now, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I get them now, intuitive kind of vibes.
Right, brilliant.
And I got this vibe, you're going to do something that's going to help the world or something, you know what I mean? And I just thought, what's that even mean, you know? Why would I even want to do that?
How old were you?
Maybe 16 or something.
Right.
I just got this flash of you're going to do something that's important. You know, that's going to change, it's going to help people or something. And I just didn't have that natural gravitation towards that. I didn't really understand that at the time, you know. And even now when I do what I do you know the way you just do what you do? And then stuff happens around it. And you go, like ripples. Like I was shown once, do you know a lady called Anita Morjani?
Oh yeah, she wrote Dying to Be Me.
Yeah.
An amazing book.
About a near-death experience.
Yeah,
right?
That's an incredible book. Anita Morjani.
I read that book, right?
Yeah.
And I still have to remind myself of the access that I have sometimes. So I read the book and I thought, that's an amazing book. Why don't you interview her, Paul? Because I'd interviewed loads of people at that point. I thought, yeah. And within 2 days, I was on a call with her, right? She was in Hong Kong and I was in my office in Dunleary.
Right.
And I'm chatting to Anita Morjani, you know? And she says to me, she said when she had her near-death experience, she saw a tapestry of light linking everybody. And there was a particular story about her own dad and how they hadn't got on in this life. And he came to her and he apologized and he said to her, look, that was my role. And he showed her how all the souls touch each other with the filaments of light. And as I was talking to Anita Morjani, she kind of said to me, your work's doing that. Like I'm being shown now that you have your own ripples. Everybody has ripples, right?
Ripples.
But someone might go to a class, someone might listen to the Bruce Lipton thing, then they might go and do a course. And she was saying all of that is connected, is rippling back to you. And I just went, wow, that's a nice little bonus, you know what I mean? But you don't really see it in your daily life. But for that moment, I saw it, you know.
Like
So,
recently, I have been doing the New Potentials meditation by Joe Dispenza, and some of the things my new potential is always peace, peace, peace. And another one then is the podcast and the people that I get on. You know, I really want to get excited. And over the last 3 weeks, I've had some tremendous guests. Just before you, had Tommy Ellis, and now I've you. Like that ripple effect, I can see it in my everyday life.
yeah,
But they can also work the opposite way as well, can't they? For people, you know, ripple effect, and whatever you put out there,
yeah,
you get connected to it unconsciously.
yeah. There's a great line I love when Tommy says, be the solution, be the peace. Like that gives me shivers, you know what I mean? Because that's taking your power right back into the center, you know?
That's responsibility.
Yeah, yeah. But it's beautiful because it ripples back to you very quickly when you do that, you know?
Yeah.
It really does.
I didn't quite understand that when he first said it to me, but when I go in to say if I'm doing any work in AA rooms or if I'm working with clients, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're a monk in a cave or you're the CEO of an organization or someone on the streets with drink or drugs. Everyone wants peace. So when you go into these rooms and work with these people, are you peaceful? Are you honest? Are you being kind? Are you acting as love? And it really called you out on your stuff, right?
Yeah, big time.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing work, you know? And it's daily, man. It just never stops, you know?
Daily, hourly,
Yeah.
moment by moment by moment.
It's like your inner awareness constantly policing you, you know?
Or what we call sniper duty.
Dendron. I love when he says that as well. But I recently connected with him about negation. I love negation.
Of course, it's brilliant.
Not doing the thing that causes you the pain. And being able to choose that, seeing it in the moment and going, no, I'm not going to do that. It's like, you know.
What was the inspiration for you starting Positive Life or the Buddha bag or that work? What inspired you to choose that route?
Yeah, so I'm in a network of chaps drinking and partying and all that kind of stuff. I used to go to sides. I was a barman in sides. I was only like in my 20s.
I used to go to sides.
Did you?
I went to Olympic, and then when the Olympics out, went to sides, then we went to Asylum.
Jeez, very few people now went to sides. So
Yeah,
you're similar age to me.
yeah,
Then,
yeah. We went Olympic sides, Asylum, and yeah, I was in it.
Jesus, man. So I'm in there, right, and I'm having a great time. I'm loving it, and I'm drinking and I'm doing some drugs, but not crazy. Very vain young man. So I didn't want to look shit on a Monday or Tuesday. You know what I mean? I wanted to look good, so I never got carried away. But you know, with that world comes a cost, right?
Yeah.
So I hit my 30s, 33 actually, right? And I just started looking around, and I remember I think Tommy was in my peripheral then as well, but Abraham Hicks came into my experience in a very unusual way. I'm sitting in a place in town in a cafe. A bloke says to me, "You into spirituality?" We had a random conversation. He told me his mate was into some channeling thing. Now I never had any judgment in me, so back then I'm not saying I didn't judge people or whatever, but I was a very open type of person. Never dismiss anything. So you know, some people might say channeling. No, they wouldn't listen to it. You know, back then.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, what's that? He said, something chatting to him and telling him things. And as we're talking, he told me your man was in Spain, and he looked up and he said, "Oh no, he's here." I said, "The guy you're talking about to me now is here." He said, "Just walked into the restaurant," and it was this old, like to me, he was an old dude. Tom Galligan was his name.
Right.
And he introduced me to him, and your man had tapes with Abraham Hicks on it.
Wow.
And I met him that night in Patrick Street, and he drove me around in his Jeep. So I met this old dude, and we're driving around in the Jeep listening to Abraham Hicks, right? Wow. And I'm only in the car about 20 minutes, and I just did, like they were standing up, you know when you get that? And they were saying, this is what they were saying, right? Just simple stuff like, nothing is random. You create your own reality. You're the center of it. The vibration that you put out dictates what you get back. Now, when we were growing up, as yourself, what goes around comes around, right? You know that one.
Yeah.
Right? But this was like, I don't know, I was getting really like a buzz out of it, you know. And he gave me a loan of the tape. I went into my gaff and I started listening to them non-stop. And that was the inspiration then, because I said to myself, imagine having a few dudes having a chat about this. Like, put the tape on and we sit in a room, we have a banter about it. Where could we go? What could we figure out? You know what I mean?
And did you have mates? Were you in a group of people, that friends that would kind of be interested in that or facilitate that?
That's the thing. That was they were the inspiration because they weren't into that.
Right.
When I went back to them and they saw me give up drink, they said to me, "What, you find God or something?" I said, "No, man." I was walking around the streets going, "Do you see this? Like, this isn't random. We're like, we have a, like, I didn't know that I had a say in my reality back then.
As we spoke earlier, I didn't know it a choice.
I didn't know I was a creator, right? They were saying, "You're a creator." I was going, "What?"
Yeah.
So I was walking around, and then I noticed that when I was in a good mood, good things would happen. And I was going, Jesus, man. So you just have to be. I remember once they said on a thing, all you have to do is be a good boy, be a good girl. Just be a good boy. Just do good stuff in the world. Just walk around in a good mood, right? And I started to do it, and I started to see things happen. And then I said, okay, my mates aren't into it. Manifest a whole bunch of new mates. Can I do that? Can I manifest a community? What can I do here, right? And I went to a place called the Buddha Bag Shop, and I set it up there, put a tape in the cassette. About 8 people turned up at the first
Where
one.
was that? Where's the Buddha Bag shop? In Dunleary?
It was in, no, the Buddha Bag Shop was in the archway there, Millennium Archway down there. The guy gave me the shop.
Near the Halfpenny Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sat on these bean bags, and I just put the tape on and we'd listen. And the bean bags were called, they had a tag on them, Buddha Bag. So I saw that and I went, Buddha Bag meeting. So I'm doing that for about 4 or 5 weeks. Small little gangs coming, right?
Yeah.
And at the time we do this, we'd say, a fella would come in, we'd say, what do you want to happen in your life? Oh, I want to run an art gallery. Okay, we'll all close our eyes and imagine Matt running an art gallery. That's what we're doing. And listen to Hicks, right?
I fucking love this shit.
No, it was mad. And then I went down one night. It was a Thursday night, you used to have them. And I went down. There was a queue outside. And I said to the bloke in the shop, like really did, is there something on? He says, they're here for your thing. I says, what? He says, words that they're getting around, I think. So I looked out the door and there was all these kind of Russian spiritual dudes and all, and I thought, I can't fucking help them. Like, they can fuck. I don't know what they're looking for. I mean, I'm only half into this stuff, you know what I mean? I'm not really fully. That's the way
I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't really know what I'm doing, you know. And there was fellas coming in fasting, and there was another bloke I remember, and he was born in cow dung. Do you know that ceremony to do?
No.
Mad heads, right? And I said, what are you doing here? There was nothing like that really happening, you know. So we just gathered in the room. Some weeks we might put on Deepak, we might put on some Eckhart Tolle, whatever it was, and we'd listen. Then we'd chat about it. Then we might have a group meditation. And it just started to roll like that. And then I realised, wow, I've new mates. Because I started to get to know loads of different heads. And people would come in and literally, like, they'd walk up to me at the end and go, fair play to you, man, this is amazing. I can't believe this is happening. How the, you know, like loads of heads were saying that to me. And I was like, okay, I'm on to, there's something happening here, you know what I mean? Wow. But I never thought it would be a career or a thing or
a movement.
It was just, yeah, like a movement in a way, you know? And then it really kicked off. And then I knew you'd have about 60, 70 people coming in once a week. Every Thursday we do it. Yeah. And I moved it to a few different venues and ended up in a place called Uskalt. And then it kind of transformed into I bring a guest in, like we're doing today. I'd bring in you and you talk about your work.
Right.
I'd have shamans, Mark Duffy, I'd have people channeling aliens, I'd have tantra heads. There was no lineage, there was no affiliation with anything. Okay. It was just generally spiritual or a little bit out there. And every Thursday night it started to roll like a youth club, you know.
Right. Like sometimes people may get lost in all those things you've done.
Yeah.
But what you said at the very start, you are the creator. You get to write this story. You get to paint this picture. You get to have whatever you want. That's a big one for people to hold.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Because what comes with that then is, okay, if I can create that, then I've created all the shit and the drama in my life. Yeah, you kind of have. Yeah. And it's now it's a choice, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a frequency, it's a choice, it's a vibration, you know. And for me you know, that when you asked me what was your inspiration to do that, And I tracked it back there, to really my inspiration was my mates weren't into it. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes a supposed negative, propels you into this super positive vibe.
Necessity is the mother of all invention.
Yeah,
You're like, well, if they don't want to do it, I'll get someone to do it.
yeah,
That innate thing in you to go, well, I'll find it somewhere.
yeah.
And of
Abraham would call it contrast. That's all it is. It's just a
course,
negative contrast.
right.
And when we use the word negative, it's just a different frequency. That's all it is. It's just working with energy. What way do you want to work with energy?
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah. When you say positive life, would you call that the same thing as loving life? Would you see them as the same thing as positive life, loving life?
So I inherited that name,
Yeah.
from when I took the magazine over from somebody. I inherited that name. And funny, that name, I don't know if I choose that name. It chose me.
Cool.
Do you know what I mean?
Let's not get lost in language. I say to people,
Yeah, yeah,
it's doing great things in the world. I see it as positive. I see it as love. I see it as creation. I see
yeah,
it as abundance. I see it as happiness. I see it as peace. Well, they're the same thing when we boil them down. When we do a titration, we
yeah.
take away everything. You're just left with love, right?
I love the name now. I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
love the name now because it means there's a feeling of it, and I have a relationship with the magazine now. Like it has its own consciousness. Like
of
it has.
course.
There's a theme in each issue now,
Mm-mm.
and the theme comes to me. I don't really come up with the theme. It's kind of weird. That
Right.
vibe. So there's a
It creates
consciousness.
itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's when you think a thought for long enough, it becomes a thought form. It becomes a reality. It becomes a thing, and now it's a consciousness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Now it's the kind of a
100%.
being, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know.
Yeah,
So there's a communication there, that happens
beautiful.
between us. Yeah. Sometimes when I read it, when I'm proofreading it just before it goes to print,
Right.
I go, Jesus, man, because I didn't see all those parts happening. There are many people working with me, and they're all pulling it together, and then I get handed it in a printout just before it comes out, and I always go, Jesus. Like,
What's
it's
at the
like I'm a reader for the moment, you know what I mean? Before everybody else reads it.
and are you flooded with
Yeah,
gratitude and love and
yeah,
appreciation, and
yeah,
it's not just it's a magazine, it means a lot. I'm even picking that up from your energy, that it means a lot.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's making me a bit emotional there when you said it because it's,
I feel it.
yeah,
I feel it. I can feel that when Tommy sat with me, and when love moves, I feel like
yeah,
I'm in. Yeah,
yeah,
it charges. It's lovely.
yeah, it's lovely, man. Sometimes you rock through life, and when you stop like these moments with
Yeah.
you and just think, just reflecting on it, it's
This is the
brilliant.
latest
Yeah,
edition with Lynn McTaggart, which will be an absolute barnstormer. I look forward to reading this. Beautiful. Thanks for bringing that to me. Um, has there been articles, guests, because we've named them earlier who you've sat with. Has there been articles or guests that has touched you deeply, like really, really connected, that has left a huge imprint on your experience, on your reality? Like I had Eileen Flynn from the traveling community, and she really hit me in regards to people in prison, not what they did, but why are they in prison? And that has helped me now when I go into prisons. It's changed my views on the world. Is there not like that has, or many guests have done that for you? If you could
yeah.
share that with us.
There's a few, I would say. There's a few. I kind of shared one with you about Eckhart, about the hope thing, because I was going through a tough time, and we
Yes.
asked him about hope, and he said he would never give anyone hope. And I remember when he said that, I thought, that's a bit harsh, dude. And then he qualified it by saying, okay, wherever you are right now, look out the window, feel the breath in your body, feel the air on your skin. And he took us into the present moment. And then he asked us, now do you have a problem? Is there anything, what's going on for you now? And because he had brought us into quite a meditative kind of space, there was no, because I had a lot of problems then, and I couldn't find them.
Perceived problems.
Yeah, I couldn't find, because my mind had switched off, and I was in this space. And I was like, where's me bleeding problems? And I said to myself, they're going to be there when he's gone. Stay with us. I had this feeling, stay with us. But that moment was really, really big. And then I remember proofreading the magazine. once, and I start bawling, right, because there was a little girl in it. In America, we used to do this thing called Positively Newsworthy, where we'd find good stories around the world and just put them in this section. It's always in the magazine. So just good stories, happy stories from around the world. And this kid, um, she got diagnosed with cancer, right? So she said to her mammy, I want to have a lemonade stand. And the mammy said, why? So I can raise money for other kids who have what I have. Now I just went. Now I remember reading it going, I didn't know what was coming.
Wow.
And she had this little lemonade stand and she was taking, all the people were coming and buying glasses of lemonade and giving her money. And she was putting it all back into the Eurogon now as well.
Oh, wow. Fuck.
And that just, man.
Isn't that just incredible?
Yeah. Like, it's funny because when you mention the famous people, your head kind of goes there, but that was a huge one for me. That was early on. And I read that story and I remember thinking, will that touch people that read this now? And it was like, yeah, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Let's just keep touching them and reminding them. There's so much. Like, when you think of, remember once, and I quote Hicks a good bit because they have some classics, they said, here's the bad news in the world, zip, and here's the good news. And they said it's non-stop. It's fellas giving fellas smiles, babies being born, babies being held, nice dinners being eaten, girlfriends and boyfriends holding hands, girlfriends and girlfriends holding hands, everyone. And there's so much going, like, the way everybody says now, we're in this time of time. But the love that's out there, man, that's just...
It's incredible.
Oh.
Like, I'm glad you mentioned that point. And sometimes we can get tricked and illusioned by the fact of these celebrities. And I love Bruce Lipton, but I don't see any difference between a Bruce Lipton story and a little kid selling lemonade, dropping love bombs, as we would say, to help another person. Like, how that will impact her hormone system, her oxytocin levels, by her helping, that innate in her to helps her. Because when we were walking down the road, we talked a little bit about Lynn McTaggart and the healing. And when you do these healies or you are the healer, makes no difference. You get a bang of it as well, don't you?
Altruism is the word that she used.
That's the word you were
Yeah,
said.
and she had the science to back it up. Like, all these people had these amazing healings. Now, she went in skeptical about some things. They also do this thing where they focus on a country and they try to bring it peace. Focus on Masaru Emoto focused on a body of water.
Wow.
That was polluted.
Right.
And it wasn't polluted. But I mean, I said to her, is all this stuff being documented? She said, yeah, I'm building up a massive bank of evidence, as is Joe Dispenza,
Encephalon, they're the research companies. It's undeniable. If you're somebody like myself that's interested in science and research, and because when I get into, like, I was a class rep for years on the science program I did. I was a sports scientist, and I was always complaining to the science department that we have some dude down there and he's doing alternative medicine. I said, this is a science degree and this fella's waffling out and blah blah blah. This is all just bullshit. It's all airy fairy woo woo. Because I was interested in science and proof, and now here I am interested in this world, but there's science there to back it up. Like, there's proof, there's images, there's research, there's not just anecdotal evidence. There's actual solid research. It's brilliant, isn't it?
It is. It's brilliant to have, And you really see it with Emoto's work when he has the love and gratitude to the water, all that stuff. Masaru Emoto.
Yeah.
Just by sending intention to water, you could transform the crystals in the water. And he was able to photograph the crystals. Wow. And they were beautiful when it was love and gratitude. And they were a bit tricky when the worst thing for water was to be ignored. That was the worst thing. Have you come across that work?
No.
Oh, have you not?
Well, no, I've seen research where you speak to a glass of water every day, you say loving things, and then there was another one you don't, and then they looked at the crystallization of it, and I didn't know it was his work.
That's his work, yeah.
I've other work I follow of Kobayashi, but it's fascinating, isn't it?
So fascinating. I went to see Emoto. He did a gig in a hotel somewhere down in Tipperary or something. And I always remember in the audience, Jack L was there. You know Jack L?
Yeah, the musician.
I was like, what the fuck? That's years ago, because Emoto's passed since. And I think we did an interview with him, but it was one of my editors who did it. and we had those crystals on the cover of the magazine. Like sometimes I look back at the covers of the magazines and I go, Jesus, man. Because I'm a fan of that magazine as well as the owner of it, you know what I mean?
That's
It's kind of weird relationship like that, you know?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's a gift, isn't it? So what I love about doing this podcast, I get to sit with the people like you and other amazing guests, and I gain so much for myself, and I can bring into my life and into my community. What kind of learnings, teachings do you think you over the years since 2008 that you've acquired that has helped you? You've created this beautiful universal community, and then you've also got your geographic community that you can bring it back. What learnings and teachings have you acquired over those years that you now has changed your life and you can share with other people?
I think one of the biggest ones for me is community. So creating the community out of, like, it's hard for me to say I created because there were so many components, creative components.
Co-created?
Yeah, it was a co-creation. But you create, like, suddenly people are gathering, right, like-minded. And the great thing about like-minded, and this happens in the group as well, in the WhatsApp group, right? When they walk into the room, you don't need any preliminaries. You're already plugged in. It's like you can go somewhere deeper. So that has been huge. I would say to anybody out there, get into a group if you can. Go to singing lessons, go to dance, whatever you're into. Start connecting with people as much as you can, you know. It's nourishment, I think. We're all reflecting back to each other, you know. So that's been a big aspect of what happened to me when I was doing the thing. I was kind of going, hang on, I'm getting as much out of this as I'm getting, like I would drive to every Thursday night to that gig in Uskalt, in Budabag, and I would go, I'm so excited. I don't know what's going to happen. Who's on tonight? Who's going to come? Because it was random, you know. People would just pay at the door, whoever showed up, and it was just. And also, what I also learned was that there are, you know, when we were brought up with religions, we were told this way, that way. It was like I had so many different things, and they were all leading the same way. You know, they were all pointing to the same direction. You know, you have someone channeling Lady Di, somebody doing. It was such a crazy.
You had someone channeling
Lady Diana.
Did
yeah.
you?
It was such a.
I used to love her.
Yeah, it was such a multiverse of different things, you know. I have a story where at one time when we were in there doing laughter yoga, Ratu Bagas is into this shaking your body and laughing, you know. So every week I'd go in and and the same core teaching would be coming from the person, you know. We're all connected. We're all, you know, we have access.
Love.
We're the creator inside. The vibrations, the most. So everybody's saying the same thing, but with a different flavor, you know. And there was this time I was in there and there was a knock on the door. There was a little lady downstairs, and she said, "Oh, can we come in just to join in? I have a friend here." And I said, "Okay, come on in." This dude from the States came in with her, and then we went upstairs. We were sitting down. We're having our tea. We used to have a little tea break, a little chat, you know. And this woman came over and she says, "You know who that is with your one, you know?" And I was like, "Who?" And she said, "Krishna Das." And I didn't know who he was, right?
Right.
Because I always had that thing where, because I was a bit of a man about town, into music, into drinking, into having the crack, I was kind of a strange character to be in the spiritual world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of
Them worlds
wouldn't
don't
know
collide.
everyone. Yeah. I wouldn't know everyone in the spiritual world. And years later, Krishna Das asked me to host him, do a gig here in Griffith College.
Wow.
So, and he might be coming back next year. So
And he knocks around with the likes of Ram Dass and
yeah. So the community, and also everything leads to the same, you know, the same way. And then I suppose from speaking to teachers like Eckart was a big one, because we spoke about this area, that the power of now, you know, to be like, when you're going through your daily life and stuff comes up for you, or stuff your mind tries to take you off on one, I could never understand, well, why would I not go off with my mind? It wants to go somewhere right now, you know. And Eckart telling me so much about the power of now, to just be in that moment. That, and Joe Dispenza calls it the what is it, the generous present
moment. Yeah.
The peace that's in there, you know what I mean? By just, and I love that negation thing as well. So there's been so many learnings and so many teachings, from, like, I feel like you said, when people come into you, you feel like you're getting all this wisdom.
Yeah,
Like, I've got buckets of it. I feel
yeah.
like I've been in a college.
It's
Do you know what I mean?
it's fascinating that you say that, because I've said this so many times about this podcast. I feel like I've done another degree.
Yeah,
Like, I've got to sit with obviously the likes of you and Tommy and Beebas and Eileen Flynn's and actors and people that have had disabilities and tragedies, and the learning that you acquire, it changes you. You no longer can go back and live the way you lived before. You just can't unsee these things. You may not implement all of the wisdoms every day, all day, every day, but it does shape and change you. Like, if you, like, we boil it down to love or fear, creation or destruction. When you sit in the company of others, like my mentor Jeff Thompson, you no longer can choose those darkness anymore. It's just not,
yeah, yeah.
it's
There
not
was
integral for me.
when I think of certain teachers that I interviewed, there's certain little nuggets that pop out. Like the Louise Hay one was kind of cool because it was actually someone else who interviewed her for us, and she told us her favorite affirmation was, "All of life loves me and supports me." That was what she would say to herself all the time. All of life loves me and supports me. So you get these like little headlines that stay in your
Yeah,
mind from
yeah.
these amazing teachers. I mean, I would say, you were saying I'm I call the Godfather. She's definitely the Godmother. I mean, and then somebody like Teal Swan, which is kind of an unusual one. She came to me and she said, I was hosting a gig with her. I just asked her, would she do a live event with me on a stage? And she said, yeah. Her manager at the time. And no one could believe that we got her because it was for a small gig, about 100 people at it. And there was an air of rock star in the room because she arrived with an entourage and all this kind of
Fours
vibe.
are yours. Just checking.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
checking.
It was quite a vibe, right?
Right.
So I introduced, welcome to Positive Nights. And she says to me, as I'm doing the intro, why does everything have to be positive? And I said, well, that's just a name. And she said, are you afraid of the negative? And this is in front of a live audience. And I just come out of a period of kind of darkness. So I said to her, oh, I've been in the darkness and I'm kind of happy not to go back there. And she said to me, that's where the gold is. And that had a big impact because she said to me, when it's a bogeyman under the bed, you're afraid to go and look. But when you go under the bed and look and seek him out and integrate him and make peace with him. And this is a funny kind of because in a way, we're really told in the spiritual world, focus on the positive, stay in the positive, everything's in the positive, you know what I mean? Focus on the love. But when you come up against a little tricky spot in yourself, it's okay.
Oh yeah.
It's okay to sit with it.
It's okay, because you can
Yeah,
transmute it, transform.
exactly.
As words that Tommy said in the last podcast was transmogrify. You can use that. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. And we can use that to alchemize. Like, that can be used for more fuel to the heart. Open up those. That can be the lubricant for being seeing people that are having difficulties. Because, like, the work that we do, it's not about bypass and spiritual bypass. This is acknowledging that it's there. But when we have those dark moments and we understand and we transform them and transmogrify, we can do great work because we didn't deny them or jump over them or spiritually bypass them. It's a great show.
It's a great, and your awareness shining the light on it, you know what I mean? That's beautiful, man. When you spot it, when you
Yeah,
nearly say to yourself, what are you doing? When you have this kind of,
yeah.
what do you actually do? What is this serving you? Is this serving the other person? What are you doing? What's the motivation?
That's integrity.
It's incredible feeling. I think when we talk about humans evolving, like I got a download the other night. I was out in a restaurant and we were talking, lots of stuff is coming up about AI at the moment. I've interviewed some people around the AI thing, what's happening, everyone's talking about ChatGPT and,
Okay.
and I got just this vibe, and it said to me, um, the human upgrade will bypass everything on the planet, will supersede everything on the planet. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And 2 days ago, I'm listening to a channel that I quite like, and she says exactly the same thing. The AI is your intention that you use it for
Yeah.
is what dictates the AI.
Of course, you have to ask it a question. So you are directing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You are the director, just like what you said. You're the creator.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great one.
Yeah, it's another bank of consciousness that we're working with, and it's because sometimes I can get, and I suppose we can all get caught up in, is it benevolent? Is this benevolent, what I'm encountering here?
Okay.
And the question I seem to get back is, are you benevolent?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is the information you're putting
Yeah.
into the hologram?
Yeah, yeah, because then you can tailor it.
Yeah.
And it's back to what we said originally about when I first heard, I'm the creator.
Yeah. We are prior to the AI. We are the creator, the creator. But also, yeah, when people sometimes, oh, it's going to take over, it's going to
Yeah.
do this, it's going to.
Yeah.
I'm not going. Okay, let's go look at human behavior. You can go to ChatGPT and you could say, act like the best positive life manager or breathwork facilitator, and it'll give you a plan. Yeah, you'll have the plan and you'll have the knowledge, but will you action out on it? And most people are not going to sit in the Buddha bag on a Thursday evening or Wednesday evening with 3 or 4 people. And now in 2025, you've got a body of work that's phenomenal. AI can give you the script, but are you going to do the work? And humans, a lot of times, don't want to do that.
Yeah.
They don't want to look at the darkness. They don't want to look at that behavior, that idiosyncrasy, that belief system they had about themselves that they created as a child. That's not true. So AI is not going to help you get over that. You're still going to have to action out on it.
And as you said, lots of people are kind of saying that it's going to run away with us, it's going to take over, all that kind of stuff. It isn't.
I think it's going to drive us home to reconnect with ourselves, to come back to, just as you had said loads of times, connection. Like, people are going to probably stop trusting it. They're probably going to want to go and talk to a real person, because COVID and all that kind of jibby jazz has pushed people inward away from.
What I'm excited about is that the upgrade that we're getting, you know what I mean? That we're getting more telepathic, we're getting more psychic, we're getting more intuitive. Like, those skills taking us, like, so that we'll have what we usually go to online for that kind of stuff, And it's like the telepathy tapes as well. I'm sure you've come across that.
Yeah, of
So
course.
there's a network of us. We have our own human little internet going on, right? And it's upgrading. So it's taking us offline. So we become the kind of internet, if you like, the internet of humanity, and then we come back to this oneness, this community, this connection. It's so exciting, man. What we're in at the moment. It's so exciting because so many people are evolving. You can feel it, like.
Yeah, but it goes back to, like, love or fear. How do you look at life? Do you see AI? Do you see technology? Do you see social media? Do you see it through the lens of fear and pessimism and skeptic and doubt and, whoa, I'm not so sure? Or do you see it as, like, I seen social media when I started this podcast, 2000 and whatever, 18, is it's a blank canvas. I get somewhere to play, I get somewhere to talk about this, I get somewhere to learn. And I went, oh no, it's the devil's playground, it's all this kind of thing. And I'm going, that's just the lens that you look through. It's one of those. What's your thoughts on that?
It's almost like people sometimes, I remember during the whole COVID thing, somebody said to me, all that spiritual stuff, man, it's grand, like, but we're in a crisis. And I remember thinking, that's when you need it. Like, that stuff just doesn't work when things are flowing. That stuff works all the time. And I remember when I was going through the COVID thing, I was like, what do I do now? Same thing you've always been doing.
That's what I said.
You don't do anything else. You just keep focusing on what you want.
Stick to the plan.
It's like... And also that beautiful thing of letting go of what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, initially you're manifesting all these things and that whole manifestation, law of attraction thing.
Yeah.
It's just coming into symphony with... And we spoke about this earlier, the whole service thing as well, Like, when I work in the spiritual field, and I also have to survive, and I had a salesman thing in my body too that you spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
And I'd always be wheeling and dealing, and then I'd be bringing the wheeling and dealing into the magazine, and I was going, no, that's not going to work in here, Paul. You've got to let go of survival. how will I survive if I let go of survival?
This is a great.
More. You'll survive. You won't be surviving. You'll be thriving. And it happened with. I remember when I hosted Barbara O'Neill. I had this amazing moment with her. She's a kind of naturopath from Australia, and
I love the story you
Did you hear
share.
this
I
one?
heard it
Yeah.
somewhere, but if you want to share, it'd be
Yeah.
lovely.
so she's kind of, I suppose, censored and a little bit banned or whatever, online and stuff.
Why is that?
The pharmaceutical companies
Okay, yeah,
have quite a lot of muscle in the world,
course.
and so they would kind of say, she's just saying, go out, take your shoes off, take herbs, take salt. She's all the natural buzz, right? And you're looking at this woman going,
There's
why
no
would you ban?
business. There's no business in you being healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So why would you think she'd be banned? I remember being baffled by it. The story of how I met her is a good one, but this is a different story. The week before the gig is on in the Arc, it was won't mention the hotel, but it was in Wicklow. And the week before it's on, it gets pulled. Right. And the hotel rang me and said, we're getting too many complaints and we're getting phone calls from newspapers and stuff. And it was just after COVID and there was a little bit of hysteria still around.
Right.
I remember thinking, so the event, I have 600 people coming to this gig and it's off. And they're like, yeah, well, we can't do it for you, sorry. And literally apologising or whatever, And I got this vibe somehow in that moment not to go off on one with the hotel, right? I just didn't react. But I put the phone down and I said, so what am I supposed to do? I remember standing, like, my house in Wicklow was loads of light. I remember walking around the living room and I was going, so what do I do? I was arguing with whatever I talked to, your own connection, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. I was like, what am I supposed to, like, it's a week to go. And this is what I heard, right? Turn the other cheek. I said, that's Jesus, man. What are you quoting
that's
him?
JC.
What are you quoting him to me for?
Yeshua.
Yeah. And I remember asking, that always sounded kind of weak to me, right? Turn the other cheek. And in the moment, it was like, no, we're going to explain to you what turn the other cheek is, right? So this is where a gig is on. This is not happening. Turn your cheek to where you want to go now. That was what they said, right? So I just went,
change your focus.
yeah, so I kind of go, so I want the thing to happen. Okay, now sit with it and watch. And that was it, right? And I was sitting in the house and I swear I didn't react. I stayed in that place. I listened. So I kind of went, okay. I kind of had no choice. There's a gig on. Do I cancel all these people?
Right.
Or do I go with this? And next thing, this woman gets on to me. She said, there's this guy. He's a religious kind of dude. He's in this thing called the Britannia Church. He wants to offer the venue because he's a Christian like Barbara. Barbara's a Christian. I said, what? He wants to offer the venue. Now, this is the cost of the venue. You got to pay. It's a commercial thing. But in a week, you're in this place right now. I can't tell you, Matt, how beautiful that venue was. Big screen with her name on it. Video dudes. They live streamed it. So we took a gig that was cancelled, and we emailed everybody. It went on.
And you got an upgrade.
We'd 700 people at it, and we had it live streamed to about 200 or something. And I stood up on the stage and I said, last week this was cancelled. And I played the Mission Impossible music for the crack. I said, last week this was cancelled. I said, it's not getting cancelled. It's on. And events like this will always be on. And I remember people looking at me. I went off on a bit of a Martin Luther King vibe, I just said to myself, wow, and I reflected on that. Because in the old days, you'd be ringing the hotel going, listen, lads, you can't do that.
The wheel and dealer, and you'd be like, fuck, yeah.
I just said to them, thanks, take it easy.
Wow.
But man, so that, it's the turn the other cheek one was huge for some reason.
Like, and I love the fact that you acknowledge turn the other cheek, third energy centre, I'm a man, that's weak.
Yeah.
I'll go at it, I'll defend, and you're like, just change your focus. Like, I'm sitting here lit up like a Christmas tree thinking of the inspiration that I got.
Yeah.
Like,
had you ever thought about that phrase before?
Turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
I've heard it years ago, and I love Yeshua and I love the Bible and the teachings of it. But I love the way you have described that and turn the other cheek. Yeah, it's brilliant. Like, literally, that got taken out of the way, and you got an upgrade, like in a hotel. You got a better venue, and it just, like, it was meant to be that way. Because
that's happening all the time.
And you're not, like, denying what as Eckart would talk about, the isness of life, accepting what is. You like, accept it. You've decided to cancel this. Good luck. I'll just accept it. And when we let go of that resistance to what
Yeah.
is, we free ourselves up, as you say, we let go of that, and new information comes in. And here you are presented to this absolutely cracking opportunity.
I never, like, it's funny, about a year and a half ago, I was hosting Snatam Core, and I was kind of thinking, the manager phoned me up, the tour manager, and he listed off 20 things that I needed to do. And I ticked them off, and I'd done 17 of them, and 3 of them I hadn't, right?
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the garden, and it was a beautiful sunset. And I remember sitting there going, I've done all these things, but I'm still stressed in my body about them, right? And I thought, I need an upgrade here. What's going on? I'm getting panicky as the organizer of these gigs. Now, because when you organize a band, it's logistically a lot more than a spiritual teacher.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, okay, I need something else here. You know when you walk into a gig and you look for the organizer, if you see a stressed organizer of an event, you kind of go, what's that guy doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd have a lot of people around me who might get a little bit stressed on the team, but I
Yeah.
can never, if I haven't got that luxury,
Because
I
you,
need to be
cause you
whatever.
walk as the solution.
Yeah, whatever happens, I've got to sort it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's when I got it. And this was a big teaching for me that you asked me about earlier.
Yeah.
The nervous system. I've always meditated, right?
Yeah.
But I'd never really tapped into my nervous system. The little animal, Paul, the little fellow who gets afraid, right?
The
And I
reptilian part of
started,
your brain, the amygdala.
I started doing yoga nidra and vagus nerve breathing.
Yeah.
And they were huge for me, man.
Amazing.
Have you explored any of that stuff?
Ah, yeah. My teaching, I'm a breathwork facilitator. I teach, and I worked in brain injury rehab for 12 years in a hospital. So I understand the impact of the vagus nerve, vagus tone. And if you've been through some challenging things in your life, you would lose vagal tone. And that's part of the parasympathetic nervous system. Like that, like again, it's love or fear, peace or chaos. Vagus nerve, parasympathetic nervous system, that's where we need to be at. That's when the awareness and expansion opens up. If you can bring yourself down in that vagus nerve tone, feel the peace, you start seeing the world, you start seeing, aha, oh look, these are the opportunities.
And I think that's a brilliant thing to tell people who are thinking of meditating, because
Yeah.
sometimes people get on a couch and they go, man, I can't stop thinking. And you say to them, it's not about stopping thinking, it's just about observing thinking. But here, man, do a little bit of work on your nervous system as well, and you're going to go a bit deeper.
So this is
You're
what
gonna
I
be
do
able
when
to
I go
see.
into place and I explain the science of it, because I had a skeptic in me that wouldn't, that's all bullshit. But when I start understanding the science, the biochemistry of meditation, the oxytocin, serotonin, the vagus nerve, the two, like the asympathetic, sympathetic, the parasympathetic, I'm like, right. So then I go into people and say, this is what you get. You know, you may think it's a cross-legged in a cave in the Himalaya or the mountains. No, you can do it on a bus. You can soothe your own nervous system. You can take yourself from fight, flight, freeze to rest and digest really quickly. Like what Eckhart done to you, he brought you into the moment.
Exactly.
He switched your nervous system where you went, where's the problem? The asympathetic, the fight, flight fires up again. Then you go looking for the problem. He was like, but you didn't have it a minute ago when your parasympathetic was doing a nice little dance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So every morning before I go in, when I got that experience where the guy's telling me all these things that I've done, Matt, they're done, but I'm nervous that they're not.
What if?
I
What
thought
if?
to myself,
What if? Yeah.
and then also you're reminding yourself, are you enjoying this, Paul? You know what I mean? So I start working on the nervous system, and it's been a revelation for me, I have to say. That yoga nidra stuff, have you explored that work?
Yeah. It's lovely.
Unreal.
There's many modalities, but what you just point to and allude to, find what works for your nerves.
Yeah,
If you notice that you're in fear or love or creation or chaos, which one? If you're into chaos, find either the yoga nidra, or if it's the breath work, or it's your mantra by Louise Hay, or whatever brings you into that kind of soothing, resting.
Reiki, whatever. Reiki was
Yeah,
huge for me in the early
I'm a
days.
Reiki teacher and all these.
Yeah.
They're all modalities to
Yeah.
help people to come into this place. What I'm loving about your story, and you are embodying the work of these teachings, and you're driving your company that way. You're not going, I bring spiritual gurus in and all these people in, and I'm an absolute fucking lunatic at the top of the helm. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, me and Tommy talked with this the other day about, people that are treating people and being therapists, and they're not doing their own work. And this is not a judgment, by the way, but I'm not going to be looking for your help if that's the way you act. And you're now integral with positive life because you're living it. You're doing the breath work, or you're doing your yoga nidra, or your meditations, because it's in service of your viewers and your audience and your staff, because they're going to not listen to you. They're going to look at you like they did their parents. Say, well, Paul does it this way and he acts this way. Right, I'll follow him. I'll follow
Yeah.
into the trenches.
Yeah, yeah. And you see the inversion of that. I remember actually thinking, because I'm the guy who does positive life, I need to be this way. That's the negative, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
you're
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of being, I went to this healer once and I said to her, I can't really be sick. And she said, what? I said, well, I can't, it's positive life, it's kind of health, nutrition, so give us a healing, like, and sort it out, will you? And she says to me,
In a half an hour.
are you superhuman? She says, did you get where did you get that upgrade from? I said, what are you talking about? She said, everyone else can be sick and you can't. But just these things that you don't notice about yourself, you know what I mean? That's like the egoic structure. I mean, I love the ego, man, how it just operates, how it tries to get in and, oh, you did this. No, I didn't, man. I was at Snatam Core and I was able to walk around, right? And they're singing a song, walking into the light, and she's there, and they're all joining hands, right, and they're dancing, right? And the ego goes, you did this, and I go, I don't care what I did. I'm standing here, right? And I've nothing to do with this, but everything to do with it at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
I've always had that luckily inside of myself.
Great.
Do you know what I mean? Where I can uplift from it, but at the same time, take no
It's
credit. It's
not
a
all
weird
about
place to
me.
be in.
It's an amazing thing to have, because
Yeah.
a lot of people, it's all about me. I've created this, and that's helped me when I go in to do talks or I'm doing any big events. I remind myself it's not about me.
That's a liberation. That makes you freer to do what you're actually going to do, Remember we earlier were talking about interviewing and you said we were talking about nerves and stuff, beforehand. I got nervous once interviewing someone really famous, really nervous, to the point where it was affecting me, and I was looking at the questions, And I met some guy backstage, and I'm about to go on and do this, and he said, you okay? I said, no, I'm a bit stressed, man, And he says, why? And I said, because I'm doing this interview with this guy and he's kind of famous and I want to make sure I get the right questions. And he says to me, why is it about you? I said, what? Why are you making it about you? There's an audience out there. They want to see him. You're the one doing the interview. For whatever reason, you're in that position. Just do it, will you? Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it was like a smack.
Yeah.
It was like a Tommy vibe, right?
Yeah.
But it was like, it liberated me, because I
Yeah.
kind of went, oh, I don't have to worry about me anymore. No.
And that's what fear does. It's selfish.
Yeah.
Selfish. It's only looking out for its ill-gotten gains. How can I stay safe in this world?
How can I protect what I have? All those kind of things.
My reputation, my this, my that. And when we come up out of the fear of the first, second, or third energy center, we come into the heart. It's selfless. It's about what you do. It's giving. It's serving. It's helping. It's bigger than, because this is limited. How can I survive in this moment, sitting with this being? And then our consciousness expands. It's wonderful, isn't it?
See, though, when I told you that story, how you reacted to that guy, because most people would say to you, don't worry, man, you'll be grand, or whatever, that kind of way. He gave me a bit of a smack.
Wonderful.
But in those smacks, man,
Yeah.
you go out the other side of it,
We talked about this earlier, right, about getting nervous. And I said to you, if I was to sit here to be nervous with you, it's not appropriate, because one, you're a lovely man, you're kind, you're gentle, and it's a creative process. But the narrative in society sometimes is it's okay to be nervous. It's normal. And I'm going, no. How can this really abundant creative moment be a fearful event? It's not appropriate. Do you know what I mean?
It's a bit like what I just said. Yeah, it's a bit like that story with that guy, isn't it? Yeah.
And I'm saying this to people, and people, I've done a stand-up comedy course, and I've done big events, I stand up talk, and people go, yeah, but it's all right to be nervous. Everyone gets it. And I'm going, I don't want to be everybody else. I want to walk out there and go, this is fucking amazing. Like when I sat this morning thinking, and Brown came down to talk to me, and I'm like, I'm just looking at loads of questions. I feel like a kid in Aladdin's cave and I'm getting to talk to you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I was so excited. Why can't it all be like that? Why can
Yeah.
we train our nervous system to be so fucking happy about sitting with Paul from Positive Life or Tommy or Biba or Adi Ashanti? Yeah, it's a reframing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a change the perspective, right?
Yeah, that was a big moment as well. You know, people are teachers, you know. Everywhere you go, man, someone's reflecting something back to you. Like
Oh, that's lovely.
I've
You're
had
doing the work, man.
I've had gems, like gems, yeah.
How do you balance the narrative and the work of Positive Life with also kind of acknowledging the challenges that people have in their reality? How do you get that balance within your work?
The people in the community you're talking
The
about,
work,
or
you use your Positive Life and you're promoting Positive Life, love life, all the good things.
oh yeah.
How do you get the balance? Because people in their reality will be having challenges. How do we acknowledge that, but also promote the work that you do? Is
I
that
suppose when it's refined over the years, as in we started out with positive. Like it's funny, like with the magazine, sometimes somebody will write a kind of a negative article, or you know, something that we would perceive as. And I want the magazine to be a breath of fresh air and a reminder of what's possible and what's at play.
love that?
But the title of the magazine is not. It's not. You know this thing sometimes when you. Yeah, it's like deprivation. If you're eating a certain diet, people will think that they're being deprived. But there's another way of thinking about it, and it's like I'm being empowered to choose this instead.
Beautiful.
So I think positive life is more. It's more about this is energy and it's neutral, but you do what you want with it. So we acknowledge that people have loads of challenges and loads of things, and we're presenting all these healing modalities, all these things that you could do. Go for a swim, go for a sauna, hang around with your mates. So it's just like, remember all this stuff that's going on, lads. So it's like, what are you going to do with the energy? You know, what are you going to do with the challenge? You know, so I think it's more, that's the way it's refined. It did start out in the beginning all positive, all, because that was very much how the new age community was then, you know. It's a funny one because even now in the, like there's beautiful moments at the events when people do open up, you know. Oh man, there's one at the hitting me there now. There was a woman at Laurie Ladd, 80, right? Sitting in the second row. And she says to me, I'd like to talk to Laurie. I says, why? She says, I have a poem that I wrote, right? And I forgot about her, right? 80, right? Beautiful grey-haired lady, came over from London. And I forgot about her. And you know Jan's a pal of
Yeah,
mine.
yeah.
Jan said to me, remember the old lady you were talking about at lunchtime? She wants to do a poem or something. So I went over to the woman and I said to her, do you want to do that? But it was about to finish, right?
Great, Jan. Well done.
Brilliant.
Oh, well done.
Because I nearly forgot that.
Let's put Jan on the spot, by the way. Jan says that she's going to come on this podcast.
Jan, you better do it.
Yeah, I'm just putting that out there. Just taking a little ad break here, Jan.
She's a genius.
Gorilla
by the way.
powder. Gorilla powder.
Genius.
Shout
And
out to that.
herbs, man.
Yeah.
Genius. And knows everything about everything.
Right, Jan. So
Yeah,
we have
she's
Jan.
in.
So
She's
the
in.
lady with the poem.
So, second row, she's sitting there. I go over to her. I say, do you want to do, remember you said you wanted to do a poem. Do you want to do the poem? Now she's doing that thing that the ego does. She's backing out of it. And she says to me, you know, I had a really controlling mother and I just kind of wanted to break out from that, but I'm not going to do it today. Like she says it to me, no, I'm not doing it, right? And in the moment, I just went like that because I knew there was an opening. She wanted to do it, you know. So I said to her, do you know what? Just do it. Just do it, right? And she goes, okay. And I took her hand and I brought her up and I said to Laurie, this lady wants to go up, you know. And Laurie goes, okay, come on. And she reads a poem to Laurie. She talks to Laurie about her mother, that she always wanted to perform in front of an audience, right? And she wanted to do it. Now, the poem was brilliant, man. Like, that poem could have been shite, and we would have all still loved her. It didn't make any difference. But the poem was like something that W.B. Yeats would write.
Rumi.
Yeah, it was.
It's Rumi's sister.
Yeah, and it was the closing of the event. And Laurie, I don't know if you know Laurie Ladd's a beautiful teacher, and she's just looking at the woman and looking at me going, how's this happening? Do you know what I mean?
How's that happening? Because that's just what creation does.
Why did we go on to that now? Where did that come from?
We were talking about, I don't know.
Oh, the positive life, the energy thing.
Yeah. I
So
got
this
lost in that
woman
story.
afterwards says at 80 years of, never did this before, so at 80 years of age she does this, recites a poem. I must send you a picture of her actually, it'll blow your mind. And her daughter comes over to me and says, thank you so much for coming over together, Paul. Fair play to you. And I'm just going, something else is orchestrating all of this.
Yeah.
And we're just all flowing with it, you know.
Love. Love is a... How does love show up for you in your life?
It's an interesting one. It's, you know, when you're in relationships at the beginning and you're chasing relationships and you're chasing love.
Yeah.
And I remember once I interviewed a guy called Diva G, right? This guru dude, you know, one of them dudes.
Oh, no.
And I met him. I went to his event, and his whole thing was that he was the pure love, you know. But it was impacting on me because it was kind of. So I was chatting to him. I said, oh, so, "Okay, what's this? Like, I have a girlfriend. She gives me love, and I give her love, right? So it's like." And he said, "No. Don't look for love from humans. They don't have it." I was like, "Well, humans don't have love. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "So you are love, right? You don't have it.
No.
You are it,
You
right?"
are it.
So he said, you go into a relationship, and I always remember this because it changed everything about how I would be in a relationship.
Yeah.
In a kind of a weird way, in a sense that when I'm in a relationship with a woman, I'm not looking for anything from her. Are you checking that out, man?
I love it. That's a conversation.
You're doing that as well, right?
Me and Brown
I
had
know
that
you're doing that.
conversation. I said to her, I'm not here.
I don't want anything off
I'm
you.
not looking. I just love you. I just rock up as love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and what I suppose when these people tell you these things, you go and you know, the way they evolve in your own energy field.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened to me with the whole community thing, is it's evolved for me. So I walked away and I said, hang on a sec, so what's actually, so running around trying to get love off them, they don't have it. What are you talking about? You are it. So what do you do then? You connect with who you are. You connect with as much of it as you possibly can. You download, you meditate, you open up to it, you bring it in. You are the love. So you walk as the love in the world, right? And then you're with a girl. And if you meet a girl who gets that as well, right? So it's coming in from here into our crown chakra. It's coming in from here into your crown chakra, your heart chakra, lighting you all up. Then you share it together.
Yeah.
So nothing's conditional anymore, because it was like, give me that or else that.
No.
The old paradigm of relationship, right?
Yeah.
And that liberated me, man. I was like, I'm in a relationship with my missus now, and I'll say it to her sometimes, I don't need anything, love, you're grand. You know? Because sometimes she's busy, she's caught up in life, and she's not giving me what she thinks I need.
I should be doing this, and I should be doing that. It's a conditioned response.
Yeah.
I did this is what I'm in he's my boyfriend or my husband, and I need to be doing this. No, I don't. That's them social norms don't work here. You're grand.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm good. That's grand for me, thanks.
That's a good question you asked me, like, because that is something that when I got that initially, I was blown away by it. You know the way you're blown away by your own, when you evolve a little bit and you kind of start to understand something new. But that's a big liberation, you know.
Because when I said that to Brown, I was only with her a few days, and I said, I love you, but I don't need you to say that back to me. I says, I love you, and we'll just leave it at that. She just shook her head, because I realised that I don't need anything. You know, I can give it to myself. It's incredible, isn't it?
It takes away the fear of it then, you know, because before you were given it, hoping you'd get it back.
And you're afraid you'll lose it and all this. Like, I've never had any fear that she'd leave her, because love is in me. I am love, you know.
Yeah, love's not going anywhere.
No. And it's interesting we're having this conversation. I was just texting a fellow, you know, and we're going to meet for coffee, and he was talking about his dad passing over, and my dad passed over last year, and he was saying the thing that kept me going is that I'll catch up with him soon. I'll be with him again soon. And I'm going, love never dies. Love is everything. It's everyone. It's everywhere. So there's nothing lost. It's the oneness. It's the non-duality. There's not two. There's only one. And that's what love is, right?
It's amazing, isn't it?
What is your go-to things in life? What do you do? How do you practice being loving to yourself, this being, what's the rituals, what's the practice that you have within yourself?
The ones I spoke to you about earlier. So every day I'll do yoga nidra,
Right.
and it's an easy one. So sometimes people say, Jesus, man, that's fair play to you doing that. No, that's easy. I do that in bed, you know. I do that before I get up. And then I do breath work. And then because I work for myself, I have the luxury of a couple of hours in the morning that I kind of just devote to myself. So I'll do a little gratitude thing. I might do that. I'll do a meditation. I love gadgets. I'm mad into gadgets because I get sent loads of stuff through the magazine. So I have a chi machine, which is a gas little thing for getting your energy going. I have a PMF bed as well, electromagnetic frequency. Very interesting healing gadget.
I have a grounding sheet.
Yeah, I have a grounded sheet in the bed from Clint
Right.
Dober.
Yeah.
So I sleeping on that, and I love all this enhancements, you know, like little. I mean, I remember years ago talking to Tommy, we'd call them permission slips, you know. You know, you can feel good without all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
We know that, but these are lovely little enhancements. Like when you do a breath work session, like I love breath work. I'll do a vagus nerve breathing, or I'll do a Wim Hof, or I'll do Sandy. I like Sandy as well. Then I might take a spin down to the beach, and I'll do Maharamores near my gaff, so I'll go down there for a dip.
Nice.
Saunas, man, lately have been really big for me. The hot and colds. I come out of them feeling like a newborn, you know, I really do.
Illicit heat shock proteins, good for biochemistry. Yeah, it's really protective against cardiovascular disease, that kind of exposure, heat exposure or cold water exposure. They do the same things.
So good for you, you know.
Yeah, they release so many different endorphins
and nature, of course. I mean, I can't, you know, that just completely revamps me, you know, and connecting with people. That's become more important since COVID because I think I took it for granted.
Okay.
Before COVID, like when COVID happened, the Finglas in me came out full on. I was like, I have an event on next week. I'm not cancelling it. I don't give a bollocks. I'm not cancelling it. They said Leo was at the coming. I don't give a Leo.
Leo the lion.
I don't give a shite. And I remember actually being on the blower.
On the blower.
To Tommy, and he said to me, they're closing the schools, Paulie. I said, I don't care if they're closed. I have a gig on. We had some event on in Bewley's in Grafton Street. And positive nights on the stage tour. Everyone was saying to me, are you cancelling? No, not cancelling. Tour's till like 7 o'clock. Next thing, Bewley shut down. Bewley's. We're sending all the staff home. There'll be no coffees. What are you doing? We're closing. And I was like, so I had no venue. I couldn't run a gig. So when I got back to running gigs again in person, now it's the richness of it, you know what I mean? It's just like, I look around the room and I go, these heads are all just gathering in a room, you know what I mean? They're just here. And I met you at the Lee Harris gig.
Yeah.
It was like a variety performance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like he was doing songs, meditations.
It was lovely. It was a nice event. I went with Brown. Brown has been following for years. It was lovely. I met you also at Marianne Williams as well.
Yeah, she's
Marianne
back at the end of the month, actually.
Yeah, some fascinating characters. The world seems, it appears for some people that it's in a bit of a chaotic space, but not for everyone. How do we bring people back to that collective sense of love? How do you think we could return back to that?
That whole chaos term, every time I interview people, they'll say to me, even though the world is in a state of chaos, and I said, why do we need to go off on that tangent? Why do we need to say that? Humans always feel the need to set the stage for something terrible so that we can talk about something good, you know what I mean? Like we can talk about the good straight away. Sometimes when people write articles for me, they'll say, but I have to explain. I said, you don't. Just get straight into the good stuff. You do this happens. You know what I mean? But if you don't, there's no need to say if you don't do this. So I feel like, as I spoke about earlier, there's so much good stuff on the planet. The girl with the lemonade stand, the old lady going up doing the poems. Like start to recalibrate your energy and start to focus towards that stuff. And let go. It's like I think our days are continually letting go of all this stuff and knowing our own power, you know, stepping into our own power. It does take practice. Like when I say it takes practice, I feel like it doesn't really, do you know what I mean? It doesn't really, but if somebody's coming to this new, you need to kind of work on it for a while before it starts to flow for you, you know. You need to open yourself up to that stuff. Now, I'm blessed because I work in that world. You know what I mean?
But you still have to do your work.
You still have to do it.
That
And
sounds
sometimes
like
it
you do.
shines right in your face because you can't, you don't get to go into the mainstream as much, you know, that kind of way. Like I can jar when I'm in the mainstream. You know, when I meet normal people and they say, oh, Jesus, man, the traffic. I go, what's that? I don't understand what that has to do with me. The traffic.
My daughter, when we're in company together and people say these kind of general jar comments or these things, and I will, like when your dad's dead, oh, I heard your dad said, that's terrible. Before I answer, I look at Sean and she'll raise her eyebrows and I go, it actually isn't, and he's not dead. Because nothing dies, he's just transformed, transmuted, and their eyes will just glaze over and she'll just start smiling. We don't get into those conversations now, right? These everyday people don't like it.
So it's like, yeah, it's, oh man, it's such a special time, you know. There's a heightened need to choose what you like. All it is it's an experience. What do you want to experience, you know? And most of us really want peace. We want love. We want happiness. We want kindness. So activate them, you know. And the more you activate them, they're just going to come. I mean, this has been going around for ages, you know. It's the same. What goes around comes around. It never changes.
You mentioned love there. What's the one thing you think everyone needs to know about love?
Definitely that sense that it's within you, you know.
Brilliant, that's a great one, because the world is led to believe sometimes that it's outside of yourself, and if you get the car, if you get the girl, if you get the money, you get the man, you get the job, get the shoes, get the I'll get it. Not that, right?
I think the new form of creation that we're all coming to wake up to is that you become the thing that you want. You become the abundance. And it does involve imagination. Like I love that song in the Willy Wonka movie. Come with me and you'll be in it.
And you'll see, you know. Oh, that's a great
That used
one.
to be our little theme tune for the Buddha Bag, you know. Pure imagination. So people will, you know, people who are serious or business people, they'll say, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, when you create a business, you create it in your head first. So you do imagine it before you create it. You know, I have a big company now, though. I know you have a big company, but where did it come from? It came from there. So use that now as well. Keep using that pure imagination.
Everything starts with a thought.
Yeah.
An iPhone was once a thought. Bracelet was once a thought. Became a thing, and yeah.
So you become the frequency of the thing you want to attract, you know.
Yeah, and that's what you had said in the get-go with starting the Buddha Bag, or I'm going to create my own community, and you live that every day.
That was an amazing experience, you know.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So people just remember, love is within them.
Yeah, that's my biggest one around love. That experience I had with that guy Diva G, that was amazing, you know.
What do you love about yourself?
I thought of this the other day actually because I was thinking.
I love this question.
Yeah, you like that question?
I do. I just love it.
Yeah.
This can rock people, by the way.
Oh, can it? Yeah.
Ah, yeah. I've sat with, like, I've done some work with guidance counsellors, and I've done teachers and these people, and I've asked them this question to go up and stand in front of a mic and say it. And
stand in front of an audience and say it?
Yeah, in front of their peers.
Right.
Come up
Okay.
and say it. Because I wanted to show how we can stoke the nervous system. I show between parasympathetic and asympathetic. And I say, you get to choose love or fear. See how we get on.
It's an intent. Well, you could ask that question anytime, and it could hit someone. Yeah, it could hit. It could make it. It could make it. It could upset you. You know, it could kind of make you go, Jesus, or think that you don't. But I was thinking about it recently, and I just thought, I love the way I bring people together. That I get a kick out of that. I have this innate desire for people to be good, you know, for them to be okay in themselves, you know. And it comes from being a little kid like that. I was always like that as a kid, you know. So there's that purity, you know. When you it's very easy to love yourself as a little boy. When you think of yourself as a little boy or your inner child, you can really love yourself because you kind of go, Jesus, you know. Like I've done inner child meditations, and I'd be like holding myself, I'd be going. So that desire to my ma used to race me in a pram to the school, you know, with all the other women. And my ma always says to me, when you used to listen to Gay Bourne's theme tune, he had a theme tune. Do you remember the radio show he used to do? This mad RTE theme tune.
Yeah.
And she says to me, you were a lovely little kid, you know, you wanted everyone to be in good mood and all, you had a lovely little vibe about you. And I think
the love that moves through you when you speak about your ma is lovely.
Yeah, I love me ma,
I
Jesus.
feel it. I feel it, yeah.
I mean, they're unreal. When you ask the question about love,
Yeah.
Jesus, I brought me ma to the theatre last week, and she
What's her name?
Patricia, Patsy.
Oh, you're Patsy.
She listened to this, yeah.
Deadly. I felt it from you as soon as you started speaking. You turned on. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, she's just gas, you know. We went to the theatre. I actually use excuses to get her to hang around with me. You know, I'll say to her, ma, there's a play on. I don't really want to go to the play. Just want to go with me ma, you know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Did you ever get that?
I love it. Like, me and my man now have a beautiful relationship. We've got closer over the years, and especially with my dad passing over, we have beautiful conversations. There's a lot of love there, you know. It's gorgeous. It's just you're blessed to have that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful relationship. So I back to loving about myself. So I love the sense of humour, bit of crack, you know. I love all that. And sometimes I have more freedom now in myself that I didn't have before, where sometimes I would carry the problems that I have into my environment with me, and they'd kind of spill into say I'm on a hike or something, and I'm thinking about that in the background.
Yeah, brilliant.
Now I have this, and people help me to let that stuff go. You're on a walk and you're just chatting with people, and it just, as Eckhart says, it just disappears, you know, when you're in that present moment awareness. And I love uplifting people. So I love that I love that, you know what I mean?
You're doing it here. I felt to listen to you every minute of this. You're inspiring me. I have to stop myself drifting away, getting excited about life. Like, come back. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna go off and do shit like this. It's like you're embodying it, which is beautiful.
Yeah. No, I just and it's great. It's a liberation to be able to love yourself. You know what I mean?
I love the fact that that was so easy on your nervous system. When I said that to you, you didn't jar. You were like,
I would have jarred in the past.
Yeah, I'd have felt it.
That would have been a curveball now, you know?
Yeah. Brown actually said that to me this morning. She goes, ask him what he loves about himself. I said, I will.
Yeah.
And I love that you just, that's very telling. Your nervous system didn't do any dance there.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the fruits of your labor when you do this work. When you can just objectively look at, I love uplifting people. I love hanging out with me ma, you know, flying around in me pram, or, you know, doing the work to do, creating communities. It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah. And when you think of family's a brilliant tool for learning, isn't it? Jesus.
Who says is a Thich Nhat Hanh, if you want to know your family, if you want to know how spiritually enlightened you are, spend a week with your family.
Yeah, it's true. I have a great story actually about Tommy that I'll share before we finish. Tommy Ellis. Yeah, you know Tommy well, right?
Yeah.
And we used to have these great spiritual conversations, you know. And he'd say to me, did you talk to your dad, Paulie? Because he'd be kind of slagging me going, there's a lot of spiritual stuff in your life, but did you talk to your dad?
Yeah.
And it'd annoy me, you know. I'd kind of go, what do I need to talk to him for? Well, you know, Paulie, there's a few things there, you know. And this went on for years, you know. And I had it on my mind. I did share with Tommy that I wanted to talk to my dad about a few things, you know, in the childhood and stuff. And one day I drove over to my gaff in Finglas, you know, and I just walked in, and my dad's making a bit of dinner in the kitchen, you know. And for ages I'd been trying to say to him, wanted to have a word with him about something. You know the way you just fall into a routine with your dad, right?
Of course, yeah.
What you think of that match?
Yeah, what are you up to?
So we standing in the kitchen, and I said, the words came out before I got a hold of them, if you know what I mean. So I just said, I need to have a word with you, yeah? And it sounded serious, right? So he went like that.
You ended with, yeah.
Yeah. He went like that. Did I do something on you? And in a way he did, right? But I just said, well, can you come inside for a second? I'm making a bit of dinner. I said, I just need about 10 minutes there, yeah? So I walked in, he sat down in the chair, and I said to him, nervous. I was nervous, you know. I'm feeling the nerves now, thinking about it. I said, listen, the aggression and the violence that was in this house when I was a boy didn't do me any favours, right? It hurt me, right? But I want to tell you that if I have a kid, that's not going to happen. I'm drawing the line with that. It's not going to continue in our family line. I'm going to stop it. There's no more violence.
Beautiful.
And he looks at me, right? And he goes, what? Where's this coming from? And I said, it didn't do you any harm, he said to me. I said, it did me harm. I said, I had a couple of kind of mini breakdowns from it, you know. And I said, well, here's the thing, Dad, right? I know that you had it tough when you were growing up, so I don't have any animosity towards you. I forgive you for it. It's okay. But I wanted to talk to you about it and say it wasn't right, and it's not going to continue. And he says to me, if some balls coming in this house talking to me like that, I would never have said that to my own father, right? I thought he was going to, I didn't know where he was going to go with it. And then he says to me,
fair fucks to you.
Fair play to you for coming and saying that to me, right? Now, it's like something now, you couldn't make it was like a Hollywood movie. Like, my dad's not a Hollywood movie, by the way, right? He's not, you don't know how he's going to react. So he
Hence
says
he
to
was
me,
violent in the past, and why your nervous system can be fired up.
I actually, when I'm telling you the story, I can't believe it actually happened, if you know what I mean. I can't believe it actually happened. So then he says to me, I'm sorry, son. Right? And I stood up, and as I stood up out of the chair, I had to go because I was getting emotional. I felt like ancestors behind me saying to me, well done, this is the end of the line for male violence in your line. Well done, right? So I got all these shivers, and now I'm starting to kind of choke the tears. And I walked out the door. He's just apologised to me, but I didn't say that to him. I just walked out and closed the door, and a voice said to me, acknowledge the apology. So I opened the door, and I said, I heard what you said, thanks for saying sorry. And he looked up from the chair and he went, okay, son. And I walked out. And I got in the car, man, and I bawled. Absolutely bawled. But I did that. And I have to thank Tommy for kind of inspiring me to do that.
Like, you're doing this spiritual work, you know, you do all this.
He wasn't letting me away with it.
But what about the thing there? Like, really go to work.
I'd say to him, I manifested a parking space today, Tommy.
Yeah, what about your dad?
You talk to your dad.
It's fucking great. Like that, like people talk about, back to what that lady said to you about the darkness, and like that is a piece, and you've helped your dad heal. He was able to release some, because he obviously thought about that, you know, but you having the courage and the resilience and the wherewithal to actually go face this piece of darkness that lady was saying. It's not all about the positive. Yeah, you're willing to transmute that and say, wow.
He's the hardest person to talk to, I would say.
Your dad?
Yeah, he's a tough one, you know, but that's where the juice is, you know. I had to do something else with him recently, and I played a program in my head that I don't want to have to do this again. And a voice said to me, what's that mean? Again. What's that mean? I was like, well, I did it. I did this. You're doing it again. Back in again.
Cycles and patterns till we break.
There's something about our generation that we're stopping the book with some of the family lines. Do you feel that?
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's a lot.
My dad said it to me, thanks for doing the work you did. And when we had him at home for palliative care in last year, and he's like, thanks for doing the work and helping us all heal. Like, that's how we can ascend. We're here to ascend out of these stories, and that's a piece of it. I think it's all about standing on stage with Bruce Lipton or Tommy Ellis or whatever. The magic is in that moment where you get it's over. The war is over. It's brilliant, isn't it?
That was a big, huge one, man. Jesus.
It's lovely that you gave me an insight to that world that you once came from. You know, and it's not about, I'm not interested in about the fall. I'm interested about the landing, but it paints a lovely picture of the experience that you have, and then the life that you've chosen, and why it's important to you to inspire and encourage and help people. It's lovely. Thanks for revealing that to me. It's lovely. You know, fair fucks to you.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of some amazing stuff, you know.
People listen to this podcast, and I always ask them, What's the one thing you'd love people to take away after listening to this story? What would you like to leave people with?
I think that they are the love, you know. That seems to be a theme running through it, you know, that you're not looking outside of yourself for what's already in you, you know. And it is in you. And I can feel people's, you know, sometimes that they don't really feel that about themselves, you know. But again, it's like when your man said to me before I went on stage, why is it about you, you know? And when I say why is it about you, that's your personality that's telling you those stories. And why would your personality not be real? Because it's just made up of all the things that you've been told by all your teachers, all your people around you, and by your own egoic mind, you know. It's a fabrication, it doesn't really exist. And you do this work very deeply, you know. And to say to people, you're not Paul, you're not Matt, it's like, what? You know, but it's a beautiful awareness, because I was an actor for years, you know, and I would take on a character, and then when I came off the stage I would drop the character, you know. So you know that sometimes with this work it's like, where does Matt fit into this now? Because you do have a lovely personality. It's a lovely Dublin personality. I have a similar one, you know.
Yeah.
So where does he fit into this now, you know? And it's just like an integration. It's like it was a beautiful description by a guy, Jürgen Zoo. He's an amazing guy who's able to travel interdimensionally, incredible character. Astral plane, all these, he can go to these places in his meditations.
Gotcha.
And he just said nothing really changes. It's okay. You don't have to judge the personality. You just know who he is and what he's up to. But now you can just love him as well, you know. But you don't live from him anymore, you know. So I think that to really understand that you are the awareness, you are the thing behind the personality, you know, and that really essentially the core of it is love. And start giving that out a bit to people around you and see what happens.
As you said rightly so, you get the creator. You said it from the start, you know. As Louise or Abraham Hicks, you're the creator. So if you put that out in the world, just for a moment, just see what comes back to you. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, man.
I was going to finish it. Just one question just keeps jumping in.
Go ahead.
Poacher turned gamekeeper. You do a lot of interviews. What is your favorite question? What do you like to ask people?
To ask? Yeah, that's a good one now.
What do you like to ask?
So I love watching people who, like watching you today interview me, and I love Tommy Tiernan, the way he interviews. You watch his show?
I love Tommy Tiernan.
Yeah. And the interviewing is quite an art, I would say. It's a real beautiful skill. It's really about listening, you know. So when I go into an interview, you were saying earlier on that before you would do a lot of prep, you know.
Yeah.
So when I was talking to Eckart once, I said to him, Eckart, I had a bit of crack with him at one point where I said to him, are you always in the now, yeah? Is there nothing happening next week or what's happening last week? And we were just chatting, and I said, listen, can I ask you a question? He said, yeah. I said, you're on tonight, say you're on stage tonight, there's 5,000 people going to the gig. What are you doing to prepare? Because at the time I would prepare to interview him, a good few things. You know? And he actually asked me to send him the questions in advance, right? So he likes a little bit of prep. So I said to him, what do you do to prepare before you go on stage? And he said, I go out into the garden and look at the flowers and all. I said, are you serious, man? And he goes, yeah, I don't do anything. I said, you just walk out there and you don't do anything? He goes, no. And I remember thinking, I wonder would I ever be in a place like that? Because I wasn't then. I'd go on the stage at Positive Nights and I'd be interviewing someone like, you know, I remember interviewing Alison Canavan. She was an early one who writes for me now in the magazine. I was interviewing her and I had a few questions and done a bit of research on her. I don't do any research now, Ma. I don't do anything.
Right.
It's mental. I might do a little bit 10 minutes before it starts, right? I might go downstairs in the green room and do a few little things. And I like to have a notebook on my lap, because sometimes when the person's talking, I might just write, I want to ask them that in a second because I might slip it, you know?
Yeah.
That's all really, you know?
Yeah.
I might look at one other interview they did on the car into the gig, but essentially I love this organic place of let's see what just comes out of this.
Yeah.
And it's a conversation. So you know when you hear me say a word, that's the way you operated today. You heard me say a word, you kind of went, okay, that's... And then you go in there
Yeah.
It's got a different flow to it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So the question I'd love to ask people, I love that question of, I'll tell you what I love asking them. At the very beginning of the interview, sometimes I like to ask them, and I got this from Bashar. You know Bashar?
Yeah. Yeah. He does the channeling.
Yeah, and what I like about this is I love to say to them, what's the thing getting you most excited right now? And it's a bit of a curveball because some of them think I'm going to say, tell us about how you started, tell us about the book you wrote. And I just say, listen, what's giving you the most buzz? And when I interviewed Joe Dispenza, actually, which was quite a dream, I love his work, I said to him at the very beginning, Joe, what are you getting the most excitement out of right now at this moment as we're
I
sitting here?
fucking love
Do you
that
like
question.
that?
Yeah, it's a
Do you know what it
beautiful one.
does, though? It sets a beautiful stage.
Love it.
It activates
Can I
them.
use it?
I use it a lot.
Can
you,
I?
you, Jesus, we own nothing.
Right, I'm gonna use that. That's a lovely one.
And
I
I
love
asked
it.
him, and you know what he said? He said, loads of these traditional bodies and medical people are there taking note. And you could see that that science that he does, the reason he does that is because not that he necessarily wants their approval, but he wants to be able to say, you do this and I do it as well. And it's the same, I'm getting the same results. That's what he wants to say.
Yeah.
And he got animated about that in the first 10 minutes.
Great.
And when I do that with people, it just opens up a space. And then you got your next question from that.
Yeah.
And you're off.
Oh, I love it.
So
it.
thanks for asking me that, because I hadn't thought about that in a
It's a
while.
whopper when I'm going to use that. So tell us what's coming up for Positive Life at the moment. Positive Nights. What do people know about? I know we have got Lynn McTaggart here. This is the magazine. The latest edition is out.
So we're doing an event with Lynn in October, but what are we now? So we're April, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're only April. So we have an event. We have a workshop with Robin Lansong, who had the most incredible NDE experience. She was on Next Level podcast.
Okay.
She went got child trafficked to Rhodesia, ends up in the war, gets shot by a soldier, goes and meets all these beautiful beings, Yeshua being one of them. And they taught her how to, because African people tend to sing. So when she woke from the death experience, these women were singing her back to life. They were using music as a medicine. So she's with us, and I'm really looking forward to that. I love near-death kind of stuff.
Yeah,
love
me
that.
too.
So you get to have so many of those kind of experiences. Then Marianne Williamson is the end of the month. And then we have Barbara O'Neill, Lynn McTaggart. We've got some lovely ones coming up in the Arts Club as well, you know.
Brilliant.
So loads of stuff happening.
Packed stuff.
Yeah, man. And the next magazine, actually, there's going to be, it's going to be about community. That's the theme.
Right.
This one was discernment. And I think that's an interesting thing, because lots of people, you know, when you don't want to judge people.
Discernment.
Yeah. So I was kind of questioning. I was like, what? So sometimes you feel like you have to judge, because, you know, and the vibe I got was, no, you just discern. What's that mean? You say, no thanks. It's a bit like turn the other cheek. There's no need to explain why it's no thanks.
No.
'cause
No
that's
is a
into
full
judgment.
stop.
Yeah. That's you're kind of, I don't like that because, I just
no.
prefer this.
Yeah.
It's like I prefer this. So again, you're working with energy and you're flowing in to the thing you want to experience. So, yeah.
Like what you said about positive life and positivity, or the energy of it, it's a choice.
Yeah.
I can choose this. This is an option.
Yeah.
I didn't know that this was available. Now you're here on Positive Life magazine, and this is all the stuff that you could possibly do. If you're moaning about that thing that happened in 1976, 1977, okay, cool, no problem. But I've got this stuff over here, Lynn McTaggart, Eckart Tolle, a little girl selling lemonade in a stand. What are you choosing?
Yeah.
That's discernment. Like, yeah.
I never would have thought that lemonade one would have come up, do you know that?
Oh, I ain't gonna forget that. Because if I got €1 for every patient I worked in the hospital that wanted to, and I'd say to them, I helped them integrate back into the community with the work after brain injury, what would you love to do? I want to give back. I want to work as a social worker. I want to work as I just want to give back. Because the amount of help and love and service and abundance that they received when they went through stuff, I want to give it back. Because there's an innate thing inside us that has received, like Rumi talked about, the well of love. It comes in and we give it back. We come in and we give it back. We try to hold on to it, but when you've gone through stuff like that, through the darkness, which why we acknowledge it, you just want to give it back. Give it back. It's beautiful, isn't it?
You do learn a lot in the darkness, don't you? You do. You do.
Yeah,
I would never have advocated that till I went into it.
I've been in some places, you know, and like you, I didn't know there was a choice that I could actually put that down. Like what Eckhart brought you through, do this meditation. And I was going through some stuff on the floor one day, having this spiritual emergence, let's say. And my daughter rang me and says, Dad, I need you to do this, this, and this. And I got up from it. I ran. I was in the moment, done what she needed to do, and came back and got back on the floor, started crying again. I went, hold on a minute. Where was the problem when you were driving down the M50? Where was the problem when you were talking to your daughter? Where was the problem? And I went, wow. And in that darkness, I could see the light then. I could actually let this go. It's a choice. Now, I'm not saying people's problems are not problems, but I'm saying you do have a choice. You can choose positive life or love in your life. And you do that again and again and again and again and again. And it becomes a pattern in your system.
It's incredible, you know, when people will advocate their story to you, because we all have stories, painful stories, and when they advocate that story to you and they're so invested in it, and they're sitting at a party, and as you say, it's 20 years after the event they're telling you about, and same as you, I'm not negating anybody's experience.
No.
We all have to go through it, you know, but you're at a party, and you want to say, is that happening now to you though? And they go, no, it's not happening now, but you don't understand how bad that was.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's available to you now though, you know?
As your mate Joe Dispenza would say, Hebb's law, neurons that word together, fire together, you rewording that story back into your system. I've got a pen and a piece of paper and we could write a new story and we could paint you a new life. Do you want to do that? But you'd have to let that go because your hands need to be holding this pen and this page. You can't hold hands with the past and create a future.
Abraham Hicks used to say this mental thing. They're on in Edinburgh, by the way, on the 3rd and 4th of May. Wow. I'm thinking of going over, do you know that?
Sounds good.
For one day even. Because Edinburgh, what a city. But they used to say this thing, right? This woman stood up, she said, my husband's picking his nose. And Abraham said, so what's the story there? She says, driving me mental. I actually think I don't want to be with the guy anymore. He's picking his nose all the time. What do I do? And they says to her, what do you like about your husband? She said, well, I love when he chops wood, or I love when he goes down and collects the kids, I love when he goes to the sports. And she had non-stop stuff about what he do. He makes a lovely bolognese on a Thursday night.
Good,
he picks good movies, right?
So not just
she's
his nose he's picking.
And then they said to her, if you can focus on all them things, right? Yeah. And she said, are you telling me he's going to stop picking his nose if I focus? We're not saying he's going to stop picking his nose, but what we're saying to you is you won't notice it anymore. It won't be in your experience. Now that's mental, because you kind of think the person's going to turn up and do what they do, but they turn up as the version that you presuppose on them.
Oh, that's a great one. I love that one.
Jesus, man, when I got that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
So, because you have all these opinions on these people.
Yeah.
But
And that's
it's
all
the
you
version.
say.
It's the version of them that you are again creating.
Abracadabra. You have created this. Words are spells. You have now created this version of your husband.
And have you ever noticed as well the way, like, there's certain people I'll turn up to. There's one guy in particular when I used to manage the band. I turn up and I have loads of jokes when I'm with this guy. And I walk away and I say, you know, I'm funny, but I'm not that funny. That guy has a version of me that thinks I'm hilarious. And I swear to God, I was getting massive gags. And I walk away and I say, oh my God, that's his version of me.
Yeah, and that's the role you play.
It's a hall of mirrors.
Fucking hell.
Have you experienced that where you're like something's being activated by someone else?
Yeah, when I was out with my daughter with our school and our outing, and I went out one day and I realised I'm normally joking and messing and playing because that's just what the Mac character does.
Yeah.
And I went, I ain't doing that today. I'm just going to be silent. I'm going to be quiet. I'm just going to be a parent. I'm going to watch her, not having no jokes, not doing anything, because that's a role I used to play. Because if I'm funny, then you won't see me. If I'm having the crack, you think, oh, he's brilliant and I like him. I was just doing it for likes, not on social media, but in public. Now I don't do it. I just rock up as love.
Yeah.
I love that story. Wayne Dyer talks about this. You know, you have your husband, he picks his nose. Catch him doing good. We're always catching people what they're not doing right. Catch them doing good, and spend all day with that and see how you get on. And that negative bias part of our brain doesn't know what to be doing with itself because it just wants to look for what's not positive in our life. And
And exactly the same with life, yeah. Catch life doing what it does good, yeah.
Go out and look. Go out and look. And I take a list on my phone, all the good things that happened to me yesterday, all the good things that happened to me the day before. I go out and I look for things that are going well. Because I used to spend most of my life looking for everything that's wrong and what's not working in my relationship and with my clipboard. She doesn't do this and she doesn't do that. Like fucking George Clooney over here.
I have to tell, yeah, exactly, yeah. I have to tell you about, did you ever come across your man John Gray, The Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus?
You done an interview. I seen his book.
Did you listen to any
No,
material around
no,
him?
no.
He's unreal, man. Like when you asked me earlier about, like, he really stood out for me. I met him at the Pendulum Summit, and I did a little interview with him on the side, like it was a little podcast, and I'm sitting in the interview going, this is bleeding gold, because men are going through something right now, right? And they don't know where they're at. Now they're kind of coming out of it now. But there was a period there, you know, when we had all the big feminist kind of stuff going on, and the men, you could see
Me
men,
Too movements and all
oh,
that.
the Me
Yeah,
Too.
yeah, yeah,
So you
yeah.
could see men kind of going, what's happening here? Who am I? If I fancy a woman, what do I do, right? And this guy was telling me things, right?
Toxic masculinity and all these
All that
conversations
stuff.
we're having. Yeah.
And he was going back to the he was kind of going old fashioned. He was going back like this. And he says to me, listen, he said, I'm not old fashioned. I'm just telling you what the masculine likes, what the feminine likes, how the hormonal response is when the cortisol gets activated, when the testosterone gets activated. So you think about a man, when is a man in high testosterone? And when is his testosterone really activated? Or when a man's angry, what hormone is activated in him? Most people will answer testosterone. It's actually cortisol and estrogen.
Estrogen levels. When man's testosterone levels go down, estrogen levels rise. More prone to anger, worry, fear. You know, they'll put on man boobs. They'll store more adipose tissue around here. I studied in the hospital and I done brain injury rehab, and this was difficult for people around that movement. That men and women are wired neurologically when it comes to trauma. When women face trauma, they'll tend and befriend. Men divide, individuate, and go to war with themselves as well. So we have a different approach from females and males when it comes to trauma. They'll come together, they'll communicate, they'll chat, and they'll problem solve. We go to war, individuate, separate, divide. Even in an army, it's division within one. They're like,
Right, okay.
it's a different neurological wiring system. And I study that in brain because then it gives you an understanding how people will handle their brain injury trauma.
That was an amazing, that masculine feminine thing. You could do a whole podcast on that.
And it's just from a level of understanding. So then when I go into relationships with the brownie, no judgment, discernment, I get it. I see how she communicates a challenge for her. And I see how I see the challenge and how I try to navigate. Because I'm very box-like.
Yeah.
This goes here and that goes there. She can weave conversations and talk about several things at once. And
Yeah, well, I thought it was kind of, you know, you think to yourself, well, I'm evolved. I know a few things about women. I've been around the block. He said to me, when she has problems, what do you do? I said, I fix them. He says, that's a load of bollocks. Don't be trying to fix anything. I said, what are you talking? It's this American dude, you know, he's kind of like talking in these Americanisms. I was going, what are you talking about, man? He says, well, give me a typical conversation. I said, well, she'll tell me, you know, she's had this week and this has happened. And what do you do? I say, well, I might recommend a mechanic, or I might say, don't do any of that. I said, what am I supposed to do? Listen and tell her you understand where she's coming from, and say to her that if she needs help, you're here for her.
that's exactly what I say.
And I
Is
start
there
doing
anything you need from me? Is there any way you think I could help you in this moment? What do you need right now? Or do you just want me to listen? And she said, I don't want that. And give us a hug. Because my third energy center's going, I got to do something. I got to fix it. I don't want to feel it.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel it because I'm the man. I'll be inadequate. And then I go, you're grand. What do you need? Fucking great, isn't it?
And he told a brilliant one for the women, right?
Yeah.
So anyone listening out there, this is the classic. He said when the guy's in watching the ball game and he's eating a bag of chips and he's drinking a beer or whatever, it's a stereotype, but whatever, he's watching his favourite thing on TV. And you walk into him and you want him to do something, you have a job for him. Do not remotely give out to him about what he's doing, because he's in the cave, he's doing whatever he's doing. don't walk. You're not going to get it. You know, he's talking about results, right? You're not going to achieve that. So the women at the workshop were saying, well, so what do I do? You walk in, you say, hey, love, whenever you have a moment, I need your help, and walk away. Nearly every man in the workshop was getting out of the chair.
Going to help.
What do I need? What she want? And this is the thing. But if she came in with the other approach, you'd be like, listen, I'm watching the bleed. Will you, you know? He said they'd be out to you in the kitchen within 5 minutes. They'll pause the game. What's happening, love? What do you need?
Yeah.
And it's true. And if you ask me, if you say that to me like that,
Yeah.
that, what's that thing we call that kind of mammalian brain or reptilian?
Yeah.
That masculine aspect of that. What is it?
And your third energy center is like, oh, I gotta help.
Yeah.
And again, it's back to us wanting to help.
Yeah.
It's innate in us.
It's a natural thing. Yeah.
And that thing where she comes in and says, oh, yeah, we go into the defensive then.
Don't like it then.
Close up.
Why didn't you bring the bins out this morning? Yeah. Why don't you bleed and bring you to go into war then?
Oh.
You know? I need your help. That's like a feminine, that's the beauty of the masculine feminine, you know?
That's the call and response.
Yeah, and that's the energy within yourself as well, of course, you know?
It's
the way we nurture ourselves, the way we, you know, it's just... But he blew me away, man, because I was not copping that.
Yeah, there's another great book I read years ago, why men can't earn and women can't read maps or something like that. But again, it's just, it really helps in relationships, you know, with self and with others. It just makes it all just a bit easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a little bit stereotypical, but there's so many truths in it at the same time, you know?
Yeah. We were ending the conversation, all of a sudden we went down another rabbit
hole. I know, yeah.
Fucking brilliant. Paul, that was fucking spectacular. I loved it. You inspired me. You fucking motivated. I'm sitting here buzzing. Me cells in my body are just going in my body. Not I'm the body, by the way. No personality here. I love the thanks.
Oh man, listen. It was, you know, when you asked me to do it, I was thinking, you know, when I get interviewed, I just enjoy it so much, you know, because you forget so many things that you've experienced, you know. And this is a reminder. So thanks, Matt. Yeah, and you're really, you're an inspiration in yourself, man. I've listened to your messages in the WhatsApp group, and it's inspired me.
It's just beautiful. As we said, walking down the road, love is a two-way street.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, I was privileged and grateful and honoured that you would say yes to this, and that's not putting down what I do. I was like, he's gonna come and do that for me. Like, gonna do an interview, and you were so gracious to do it. Thanks.
Yeah, and you know what else is inspiring? You and your missus.
Really?
Yeah, it really is. It inspires a lot of people, I think, you know.
I was only talking to her about her the other day, like, and I said this to her ma the other day, and I said it in front of Brown, and I wasn't doing it for effect. She helps me to turn up as the best version. She allows me to turn up as love, and all those behaviours I used to use in other relationships and in the flats. They just won't wash in her company because she doesn't gossip about people. She doesn't give out about people. She's like a golden Labrador in the morning. Hey, how are you? And I'm like, oh man, here we go. I was like, you're either gonna be love or you're not. So like she's a great reminder to me of what love is. So thanks for saying that.
She gives you the space, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I don't look for anything from her, and she doesn't look for me. It's just a coming together. We've kind of non-negotiables that peace and love is our mantra, and that's we stick to it all day, every day, as best we can.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like, let's be realistic. I still have some stuff to work through, and I just don't put it on her, but it comes up, and she helps me with that.
It's the not reacting is absolute genius, you know that?
Yeah. Don't say it. Don't fucking say it.
No.
Like, don't say it, don't do it, don't, as Tommy said to me from the very get-go we worked here, don't hurt her. And when I say don't hurt her, I don't mean lay hands or get at, like, don't even have them thoughts about her. Don't be violent in your mind towards her. Don't hurt her. When she comes down, she asks you about the washing machine, and your energy centre fires up because your ma used to say this to you. Don't go at her with violence inside your mind, because what you echo in your mind is gonna come back to you. So I just don't, and I just say, okay, love, no problem. And I go away and I tell this thing to shut the fuck up.
There's a guy called Tom Campbell. He does the virtual reality thing, and I remember he said to me, I asked him what's one of the biggest teachings or whatever, and he goes, happy wife, happy life. And I thought, that sounds a bit cliched, man, you know what I mean?
Mm.
But I get what it means. It's actually a profound statement in a way, because he talks about that we live in a virtual reality and the currency is love. And the more love you project. So he was talking about the more I love my partner, the easier the game is, you know. The game runs on love.
And what you said earlier about like the manifestation of the man picking his nose, and you start with Abraham Hicks. I know I keep going back to, but that is the body of it. You get to create. And if you love that wife, you're actually just saying those into existence, abracadabra. When I sit with people, I'll be sitting with them for a couple of minutes, and I hear the words that they choose and put out into our conversation, it's very telling, without judgment.
Words are very powerful.
And I go, that's interesting that you've formulated all those things. I sent Tommy a message the other day, and he says to me, listen back to that, and listen back through your heart, and listen to the vibration and the word, the choice of words you use is very telling.
He's intense on that.
Oh, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Because I sent the message thinking, yeah, that's quite profound. There's a lot of bollocks because it came from scarcity.
Yeah, I got this. I go to this healer sometimes, and he always says to me, if you say something that's kind of a little bit negative or whatever, you know, say it 3 times and ask yourself, is this true? Is this statement true? It's a bit like Byron Katie kind of vibes.
Boy, I love Byron Katie.
And sometimes there's a little bit of truth in the statement. So he says to me then, he goes, now ask it, is it 100% true? And when you ask it that, it falls away. And you're driving your car and you do that process sometimes. You know, you hear a bit of dialogue and you do it, you say it out, and you go, it just falls away. And he says you're deleting the files as you go. He's a mad Bruce Lipton fan, you know. And I thought that was interesting.
I love Bruce Lipton.
Do you love him, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I listened to him in 2010 or 11, and The Biology of Thought. He was on a podcast with a pal of mine, Aidan McGullen. And I listened to that, and it blew me away.
He's a gorgeous man.
Gorgeous.
He is, what we've been talking about the whole podcast, he lives it.
See, this is why I love you, and I'm delighted we got to sit in this space and chat, because now you're running that company, that positive life, you live it. And I love hearing that, because I sit with therapists and I sit with other people, and I'm going, but you're not living, and I know judgment. I'm going, like, come on, like, you got a responsibility here. Be what you're saying you're gonna do.
What you're putting out into the world, yeah. Like, Bruce,
I'm delighted to hear that.
He's on top form the whole time. Jesus, we went and had dinner with him one night, and the stories he's telling, and then I picked him up for the airport to drop him back to the airport. There's a photograph of me and him at the airport, the head on him. And he told me a bit of his life story. And I said, Bruce, how do you... He said, it's a honeymoon, Paul. Every day I wake up, I look out the window and I go, it's a honeymoon. I'm in love with everything. And he's in love with his partner. And did you read the book, The Honeymoon Effect?
No.
Read that, man. That'll suit you big time. Anyway, we'll finish on Bruce.
We'll finish on Bruce Lipton.
Brucey baby.
Brucey baby. Get yourself a Positive Life magazine. Check out Paul on Positive Life. You'll find him on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all of that.
Positivelife.ie.
Positive Life. What a beautiful, beautiful interview. Oh, thanks, Paul.
Thanks, bro.
I love you, man. So before we go, I want to thank Noel Rooney from Rooney Media Graphic. He's my main sponsor, my main man. This podcast wouldn't be anything without my pal Noel and his team. The girls at Shannon's Hope Line, give them your support. Please share this interview with family and friends. Give us some likes on iTunes. Also, if you're interested in the work I do, the breath work, the one-to-ones, the workshops, you'll find more about my work on my website, or send me an email. You'll find me at www.magicminds.ie, or you can send me an email at matt@magicminds.ie. Have a fantastic day. I fucking love you, brother. I love you, man. This has been amazing. Have a great day. Take care. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye.
I will run, I will climb, I will soar. I'm undefeated, oh. Jumping out of my skin, pull the cord. Yeah, I believe it. Oh, the past is everything we were. Don't make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is stars. It's not until you fall that you fly. When your dreams come alive, you're unstoppable. Take a shot, chase the sun, find the beautiful. We will glow in the turning dust to gold, and we'll dream impossible, possible.